Yes! It is officially the month of the Budapest Major, and I personally could not be any more hyped. This is literally, for me, the pinnacle of Counter-Strike. This is what I look forward to every single year. And now that it's here, I feel like I should be pumping out some more content that revolves around it more. Because dude, I'm getting so excited. And I think one of the first things I should do is a video talking about what roster moves I think need to happen after this major occurs, because one of the best parts about these seasons in Counter-Strike now is after these huge tournaments is when roster manias always happen. So it's almost guaranteed we are going to get a flurry of roster moves after this event, and this could bite me in the ass. At Shanghai, one of the #1 things I wanted to happen afterwards was, what do we think on Spirit? I think Magix is gone.
They're not ready. Kicks out on the X-ray, but the push comes in.
Minus Magix from Spirit. And then, of course, you have Magix going on to have an absolute life game in the finals and Spirit winning the entire thing. So that looked like an atrocious move to say beforehand. But then again, it did eventually happen. It just got delayed because they won the major. Was it a good move? I mean, that's still up for debate, but you know. So this video could age horrendously. But even if it does, even if one of these teams overachieves and does win, I still am gonna stand behind these moves. You never know. You could do 6 months to a year down the line after this major, and maybe it will age well, so we're still gonna rock with them. And to start, I'm gonna go through all the teams in stage 1, then I'll go through some teams in stage 2, and then some teams in stage 3. And for the first roster move, I'm gonna do something that is incredibly obvious. Anyone could tell you this. After this tournament, Kerrigan's got to hang it up. I don't care if he fully retires. I would rather him be the coach of FaZe if possible. I don't hate Neo, but I think Kerrigan would be a better coach. He already kind of gives me those coach vibes as a player. And I mean, it's not like fully to discredit Kerrigan. I still think he's good, but like everyone's got to pack it up at some point. He's 35 years old. Over the past 3 months, he has a 0.79 rating against top 20 opponents. FaZe is one of the biggest teams in the world, and he's posting furious type ratings. You just can't really have a meat shield if you're trying to be a top 5 team in the world. And like I said, I do think his strats and his ability as a caller does almost make up for it, but I don't think enough for just how little he's fragging. I've been through war. I watched FaZe Clan in stage 1 of Budapest. Does Kerrigan have to go? Yes. Are there probably bigger issues with the team, like a certain Latvian opper? Yes. FaZe Clan has many issues. Expect a full breakdown and rebuild video upcoming this week. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to see that. I'm leaving this FaZe part off here. There's gonna be more edit Garmours popping in at this point. Things changed during the making of this video, okay? The second team I'll be talking about from stage 1 is Fnatic, and I'm sure you guys can already guess who I'm gonna bring up here. I cannot watch blameF play on this team anymore. He has to join somewhere. I cannot do it anymore. I really overall don't mind the project that Fnatic is building, but then again, I've been saying that for years and years, and they just don't seem to ever get better. And at this point, listen, you already got Cypher kicked for JackAsmo. Just let the old Passion UA roster take over Fnatic at this point, and just let blameF go free to a real tier 1 team where he belongs. I always thought like blameF was a step above everyone else on the team, but if you watched PGL Masters Bucharest, it was unbelievable. The work he was doing and how bad Fnatic still was. He was the highest rated player at the entire event by an entire 0.1 rating. He had a 1.42. The next closest was xFlout at a 1.32. So he's the best player by a mile. And you look at Fnatic's overall team rating at this event, Prims has a 1.09. Then Jambo a 0.92. Fear a 0.86. And JackAsmo a 0.78. Holy fucking shit. He has proven over his time on Fnatic, he is ready to play on a tier 1 team again. And I like that he's just fragging and not calling. I don't want him to be an IGL on a team. I'm okay with him literally just fragging. And later on in this video, I'll get to the team where I think he's the best fit, but there are so many underachieving teams in tier 1 that could use him for their roster. Initial thoughts are Liquid. Even I know he already left Astralis, but even Astralis could use him again if he wanted to rejoin. Na'Vi potentially, even maybe Mouse. It would be kind of weird in Mouse, but maybe. There's of course FaZe as well. He can join a bunch of different tier 1 teams, and I feel like immediately be an upgrade. It is kind of weird with roles, because if I'm signing blameF, I don't want to just throw him into where we need him. I'd want him to have the star roles where he's comfortable, because that's just how he's going to get the most output possible. But overall, we got to save blameF from Fnatic. I will get to where I actually want him to go in a couple teams though. Now, the next team I'm going to talk about is NRG, and some of you might roll your eyes at this, but I still think it's a valid move nonetheless. I want No Cries to replace Sonic or Bro. Hear me out, okay? I know Bro has been one of their better players, and even Sonic has performed fairly well on this team, but I feel like at this point we know what Sonic is. Sonic is a fine player, he's a good player, but when we play really like the best of the best teams in the world, they're gonna fall off quite a bit. And I would just rather take a risk on a young player like No Cries, at least in my opinion. A lot of people are saying No Cries should join a team like Liquid. Even like M80, I would say, is kind of a tier above NRG at this point. But let's have Buddy work up a little bit. We'll have him join like the worst NA team possible that is at the major and just see how it goes. Because I don't want to just throw him into Liquid already. I think NRG is a fine place, and it's not like NRG is really anything insane at the moment. I really don't see why they wouldn't take a risk on a player like No Cries. They did it with Zodic, right? And Zodic has been solid since he's been in this team. They might as well do it again. No Cries has said he would like to play for an NA team if possible.
Actually, I prefer better to play with Russian speakers players. I think that's absolutely fine if I play with English players. I study here, so I'll see opportunities, but I think I stay here and play from an A teammate probably. Okay. I don't know yet because we'll see for the offers.
And I think this would be a good fit. I don't care which one of those two players he replaces. I wouldn't want No Cries to replace George, just because if he does replace George, I don't think the team would be NA anymore. They have to keep Nitro, Zodic, and George on the team, because I'm pretty sure if No Cries does play for a team, he's going to be considered a Russian player. At this point, he just has to replace Sonic or Bro. Nonetheless, I say take the risk on him. I don't think Sonic and Bro, either one of them have been horrible, but I mean, you take a shot on the upside of No Cries. NRG's not gonna really do anything in the tier 1, tier 1.5 space anytime soon, in my opinion. So like, I mean, maybe it can get worse, but who really cares, bro? Hey man, you gotta make tough moves sometimes, and if we want to actually compete, sometimes we've got to make tough decisions. I don't think NRG's even favored to make it out of stage 1, so if they do bomb out of stage 1, 0-3, 1-3, they have to make some type of roster move like this, and I think it's the perfect time to at least give No Cries a chance and see what he can do in an actual team. This next one isn't about a team that is participating in the major, but I wanted to bring it up nonetheless. There are two things that I want to be true for the Cologne major. I want to see BC.Game there, and I want to see Flamus playing at it. He needs to get out of VP jail because he is still a very young and a very potentially great player. Well, guys, when I was making this video, Flamus got sniped by OG. He's currently on loan to that team, so the whole take is dead. But do not fret. I think I may have found a take even better than the one I did before. If you look at BC.Game VRS ranking, they are atrocious. They're ranked 79 in the world. Realistically, with how inconsistent they have been in tier 2, do we think BC.Game will be good enough to make the Cologne major? I'm thinking probably not. But you know what they could do? I think if BC.Game want to be a serious team, just basically become Na'Vi and buy out the Inner Circle core. Okay, listen, I know Inner Circle isn't anything crazy, but we know BC.Game apparently has the money. You jump up from rank 79 in the world to rank 44, which is only 12 spots away from being able to make the major. That is very doable in like 6 months. And I don't know who you would all get from the team, but what I do know is the top 2 players in Inner Circle are absolutely demons. I've seen them play against tier 1 teams. They can do it in tier 2. They can do it in tier 1. The Inner Circle core would be fantastic for BC.Game to get. Karn and Dowie on this team are just simply incredible. Over the past 3 months, they have a 1.18 rating and a 1.17 rating. And against top 20 teams, and it's kind of a small sample size, but it's not that bad. They have 15 maps against top 20 teams the past 3 months. Dowie has a 1.19 and Karn a 1.15. These guys are fucking incredible. So just buy out the core with these 2 players. Replace Cock Needles, replace Ondu, replace Nexa. Now, I don't think the IGL for this team, Onyx, is very good, but like, I think you probably have to sign him as well. See how it goes. The IGL role, we can figure it out. Obviously, you probably don't want Electronic to do it again. I think that would most likely be a disaster. It always is a disaster. But I do think genuinely, if BC.Game buys out the Inner Circle core, they can truly make the Cologne major. They'll be a very good, a very young and exciting team. So let's make it happen with that gambling money, eh, boys? This next move includes 2 teams from stage 1, and I think, at least on paper, it would be a slam dunk. Legacy has shown to be a actual very strong team. I thought maybe the Austin run would be kind of fluky. They wouldn't really be able to replicate it, but recently they've actually been like a very good, a very strong team. But I do think they can get better, and I think a really easy way to do that is to add a star AWPer. I don't think Sadzin is bad by any means, but over the past 3 months against top 20 opponents, he has a 0.99 rating. You probably want a little bit more from your AWPer. I know a guy, okay? I know a guy.
Who knows a guy? Who knows a guy? Who knows another guy?
Who is currently stuck in jail by another team, and that is Try. It makes so much, it almost makes too much sense on paper to do a move like this, right? We move Try from Imperial, where he's stuck in jail. We can just do a swap, okay? Bring Sadzin over to Imperial. Yeah, I don't really think Imperial has a lot of potential, to be honest. I'm not super high on Vinny. My other take was you gotta bench Vinny after this major, but like, who are they gonna replace him with at the same time? Just trade, swap Sadzin, and maybe get some money on top of it. I know buyouts in South America are fucking absurd, so I don't know how realistic it is, but I feel like Try is such a step above everyone else on Imperial. I just want to see him on a better team where he can actually win stuff. So I personally would love to see this move. It's a win for Try. It's a win for Legacy. Is it an L for Imperial? Yes, but guys, you're not going to do shit anyways. Please just let this happen. I'm begging. It just seems like a slam dunk, a home run move. And I just, at the end of the day, I just need to see Try get freed from Imperial jail. Now, this next one is involving GamerLegion, and GamerLegion is an incredibly interesting team to talk about right now, because there are rumors that 100 Thieves is joining Counter-Strike and wants to buy out their core. We aren't 100% sure which 3 players it is. Initially, I heard it was going to be PR, Rez, and Tossin, and then ZTR and HypeX would stay. Maybe they would switch out, like, Tossin for ZTR, but, like, Tossin has been a freak lately. I don't blame them for wanting him. I think it mostly comes down to whether or not Rain wants to IGL. If Rain wants to IGL, it makes sense to not buy out ZTR. And I guess while we're talking about 100 Thieves, if they're going to join in after this major, a team of like Rain, Tossin, Rez, PR, and then I mean like I feel like it makes the most sense on paper. I don't know how well it would work out practically, but like maybe the best AWPer available is Dexter. That team could probably be a very solid top 15 team in the world. I wouldn't hate to see it, but that leaves us with GamerLegion, who in this case would still have ZTR and HypeX. At this point, HypeX has not been great, but if your entire core is going to get bought out, I feel like you might as well just keep him on the team and see what he can do with a new roster. I don't think HypeX is a horrible player, and AWPers have like all of eternity always struggled on GamerLegion, so you know, maybe there's something there with GamerLegion's system being the problem and not him. But what other AWPer are we going to add here? I guess you can take another shot on a tier 2 talent if you really want to, but if I am GamerLegion and I'm selling my core, the next thing I would go and do is probably go Danish, and I would buy the ecstatic core of Analele, Nut, and Sierra. Now, of course, ecstatic would have to be willing to sell their core, and I mean, you could even like maybe replace HypeX for A core. I know A core's been in GamerLegion before. I don't know if they'd want him again. VRS rankings wise, ecstatic is ranked number 41 in the world, so you would have to work a little bit to get back to the Cologne major, but it's not like it's impossible. You have to jump like what, 10 spots? And there is the other option of the 9 core, because they are ranked higher in the VRS rankings, but I feel like 9 is going to probably be more expensive to buy out, first of all. And second of all, I just like the upside of the ecstatic core more. Over the past 3 months, Analele has a 1.13 rating, Sierra a 1.13 rating, and Nut has a 109. Of course, ecstatic would have to be willing to sell their core, which maybe they aren't. But on paper, if you're gonna sell your team to 100 Thieves, I don't hate this, you know, to stay in contention, to be competitive and make majors. You know, it's just something to think about. I still don't think they're gonna be insane. And I mean, depending on how much you get paid for your core, I guess Dexter is always also an option. Either one of those teams, 100 Thieves or GamerLegion, could buy Dexter. I don't think he's a horrible option for them. And I really don't hate the ecstatic core as a replacement if it does go through. Now, to start us off with some of the stage 2 teams, I'm going to once again do a very obvious move that a lot of people are saying. And that's Major to kind of do the same thing that Kerrigan is doing, either retire or become the coach. Over the past 3 months, he hasn't fragged as bad as Kerrigan has. He has a 0.86 against top 20 teams, but it's also at the expense of just simply not being as good of an IGL. And I think it's, you know, it's about time. Unless Aurora go on a crazy run here, which I guess is possible, but considering their playoff resume up to this point, even if they make playoffs, it's not looking great when they do get into the playoffs. And I feel like that it's very obvious to say like, yeah, Major, become a coach or retire. But the harder question is who replaces him as the caller on the team. And I mean, the most obvious answer is Zantares, but I know they tried that before and it did not go well. He's also your best player. He also does seem to tilt very easily.
Things or whatever. That's exactly how I would feel.
The literal only good case I have for him taking over the duties is that he's 30. I feel like you hit a certain age in Counter-Strike, become an IGL or it's over. That's just how I feel. But like there are no signs on Tara's as close to slowing down. Like I've also heard some people say Woxic maybe. I don't love the idea of Woxic being the caller either. I don't really like op IGLs at this point. So I feel like this is another situation where I would want Major to become the coach and then they sign some random Turkish player and maybe they can turn him into a good IGL maybe. I don't know what's floating around in tier 3 Turkey, but like there has to be someone because I don't like anyone else on the roster taking that role. Maybe like they can go the mouse route of being like, hey, Wakadia or Joda, you take over the IGL reins. I guess 3D Max did this with Gravity and he's like 19, so like Wakadia and Joda, sure, maybe one of you can do it. And they just signed a fragger in tier 2. Who would that even be? Who could they sign in tier 2? Yeah, I mean, I guess like there's Soulfly in tier 2. Maybe they can buy out xFloud from Heroic. You know Heroic is willing to wheel and deal if they have to. Like, that's honestly probably it. You got to sign Soulfly or xFloud to frag, and then Zantares, Wakadia, Joda, one of them takes up the IGL reins. Maybe the team gets worse, but I mean, like, at this point, I feel like you have to do something. So I don't know. I mean, the replacement is still up for question, but all I know is that unless Aurora goes on a generational run this Major should probably be gone. Na'Vi are a frustrating ass team, man. I know the tournaments that they've played in recently were incredibly scuffed with Star Ladder that they won and Thunderpick, but Furia is currently one of the best teams in the world and they damn near beat Furia in that final. They were up 2-0 before completely collapsing. So in my eyes, I'm like, okay, Na'Vi might be a dark horse going into this Major. I mean, then they just fucking stink up the place at Chengdu, so I don't know what to think about this team. Something feels off, right? I know they tried to play it down, right? I don't think they solved the issue of the vibes on the team with the -JL plus Makaze, and I think one of the only ways to fix that is you either get rid of Alexi B or Emo, one of the two. I don't care which one it is, but you have to get rid of one of the two players.
Lexi, let me go connect next time if I have first one. I was very close to it.
Let's fucking play one round without saying something after.
No,
really?
bro, what is it's good.
Too fast
No, it's
G
fine,
split now
it's
with
fine.
Furia.
Just chill out.
All good.
I just don't think they can play in a team together anymore at this point. I don't think like they hate each other, but I do think maybe there are some underlying issues that is like just, I don't know, like what else could be the issue with Na'Vi? I think they just need a clean start. So one of those two players has to go. Obviously, if Alexi is the one to get kicked and scapegoated again, I'm fine with Ema taking up the IGL reins, but here's where it comes full circle. To replace Alexi or Ema, give me blameF. Put blameF into Na'Vi. I think that is an insane upgrade at this point. Initially, I was thinking maybe NPL because NPL also seems to be a step above everyone else on tier 2 right now. He also just stopped calling, so at this point, he's just a very good fragger. But my problem with NPL is he has never played in an international team, and I don't know if he would be comfortable with it. We know blameF is fine with it. I say just slot him in here and see what happens, okay? Na'Vi's been mediocre for too long at this point. I'm sick of watching it. Either the main caller and Alexi or the secondary caller and Ema's gotta go. And then, I mean, if Ema's the one to go and Blame replaces him, Blame can just start secondary calling as well. He used to be an IGL. I think it would be fine. Some people are gonna hate this take. Some people think blameF is a shitty ass stinker that only baits. I'm here to tell you guys blameF is good as fuck, okay? And I think he'd be a solid upgrade to this team. But then again, listen, I'm just a guy. What do I know? All I do know is that Na'Vi needs to make some type of change. Because we also don't know what's going on with JL, do we? Is JL coming back after this, or is JL just permanently cooked? You know, that could maybe change things depending on what he decides to do. But I feel like the best fit wise for blameF if he is going to join a higher team is Na'Vi. You know, Na'Vi and Fnatic got history from the early days of CS, so let's make history again. How about that, fellas? Now we go into the stage 3 teams, and the first team I'm going to talk about is Team Spirit. Now, of course, Spirit has a chance to win Budapest. You know, if you have Donk and Shiro, you have a chance to win literally any tournament you attend. And I know this bit me in the ass last time, but unless Spirit literally goes on to win this major, I think, unfortunately, Zwei has to be gone. I loved the Zwei edition when he first joined, but of course hindsight is 2020 and it looks like the move has not really worked out. I feel like we took all of the negatives from Magic's, but without nearly as high of a ceiling here with Zwei. Okay, my dream move for Spirit is minus Zwei plus Zontix, but when, you know, personal issues like what is happening with Zontix happens, it's kind of tough to say. It's not like we really can tell what is going to happen with him moving forward. So with that whole situation, we just have to wait and see. If not, it might be kind of awkward, but I'm all for just bringing Magic's back to the starting lineup. He's going to have the same lows as Zwei, but I do think he also does have a ceiling that Zwei just doesn't have. He can frag out and genuinely be damn near as good as Donk on certain maps. At least have the same output as Donk on certain maps. Of course, he's not going to do it all of the time. And it honestly might just be that Shanghai major final I have stuck in my brain. Because after seeing a performance like that, I feel like at any point, Magic's can just pop off and win Spirit a series. And if they don't want to, there is a billion young, incredibly good riflers in Russia to replace him with. So, like, I don't understand why he wouldn't just take a shot on someone else at this point. A lot of people might be saying, what about Chopper? And to be honest with you guys, I do think Chopper has to go. The next best option we have is Boomich? I mean, I'm not jumping for joy at the thought of Boomich instead of Chopper. Is it probably an upgrade? I would think so. I don't hate the move, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, like, would it really be that much better of a roster move for Spirit? Probably, but I also don't think I'm as low on Chopper as everyone else. Like, don't get me wrong, sometimes I watch Spirit and I'm like, holy shit, this guy has to go. What are they doing? But then there's other times where you watch Spirit and you're like, listen, Chopper isn't that bad, okay? It could be worse. And it's not like Bet Boom has really been blowing your socks off with any of their performances lately. I know they don't have an insane roster, but even still, so I mean, I don't know, man. It's kind of a weird situation. I feel like the easier move is minus Zwei, plus literally anyone. In my dreams, plus Zontix minus Zwei. More realistic, I guess, plus Magic's, because he's already on the bench, minus Zwei. And if they don't want to do that, if they don't want to add Magic's back into the starting lineup, there's a trillion players they can choose from. I feel like you just choose someone at this point. It does suck because I do think Zwei could be good in a different team. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think kind of the situation he's in on Spirit, but I just pick someone else for the job at this point. Bro's dropping like a 0.67 rating in every series he plays. Okay, I can't watch it anymore. And the last team I'll talk about, which is probably the most obvious from stage 3, what the fuck are the Mongolz gonna do after this major happens? So far, they have looked not terrible with Controlas, and Controlas himself has actually looked fairly good at times. He's obviously not gonna be as good as Senzu was, but they also are two completely different players. I think if Controlas takes some of the slack on the back end of the team and allows other players like Techno and Mizinho to be able to play more freely and I guess just play better overall, I think it's a fine move. But at the end of the day, it's kind of hard to see what they're going to do until their results at Budapest are done. If they miss the playoffs, he's certainly gone, I would think. If they go for a run, maybe they sign him full-time and keep him. It's just kind of weird to say with the whole Senzu situation. Is he coming back in 2026? I don't really think any of us know, to be honest. If I just want to be a rating monkey and not use my brain at all, another good option is Score, who currently plays for the Huns. On paper, it makes sense to slot him in if they have to, if the whole Controllers thing doesn't work out. And I think, like, I'm assuming Mongolz probably don't go on a crazy run with Controllers in the team. So I think I'm leaning more towards probably adding Score if we don't know what the future of Senzu is. At least to me, that just makes the most sense. But then again, like, I don't hate the Controllers move if he can free up all of the other players on Mongolz. They still have an insanely good core. So, you know, I gotta see how the whole team plays out with Techno and Mizinho, how they end up playing with Controllers in the team. We'll just see how it goes. But if it doesn't go well, Score is the player that is on the top of my list. But yeah, that's it for today. I will see you guys next time. Liking if you liked, subscribing if you subscribing, and turn on notifications if you're a bell. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.